Good morning. Go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, August 18, 2022. Commissioners Court is meeting in special open session. Would you please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today we are joined by ASL interpreters Dario Garcia and Tamara Gasalum. Judge, would you like to make any opening comments before we begin?
Well, as soon as I start, I'll want to thank our Dario and Tamara there for the cup that we got, it's a beautiful cup. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for everything you do for us. And being, I call them the ninjas, because when we come out on session and before, when you look back, they're already set up. That's why I don't know how they do that, but thank you very much and welcome all of you. As always, we always special sessions are very nice, dynamic, because we get to not look at so much agenda items, and then we're able to see some of these projects and initiatives in a better way. So thank you all for being here. On behalf of myself, our commissioners, and Commissioner Holguin, who's online, we welcome you. So thank you very much for being here today. Thank you.
Item number 3 is public comment. We do not have anybody signed up for regular public comment. We'll take no action for item number 3. Item number 4 from the regular agenda, receive a presentation from the Animal Welfare Department regarding the Pet Wellness Clinic.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Welcome, Lorelei.
Morning. I'm Lorelei Combs, your Director of Animal Welfare for our county here. And I just wanted to give you all an update on what our clinic is going, the direction and the progress we've made so far. So I have lots of notes here. So as you can see, we do many things here, and these pictures kind of show you a lot of what our animal welfares do in the field. One of the most important things for us is that we return pets to their owner. And when pets are reunited with people who love them, that's typically the reaction you see. The dog's happy, the family's happy, and it really fills our heart with joy. Our officers cover over 1,100 square miles, and there's about 11 of us right now. We're hiring 2 more, so we run across our county, and our animal welfare officers also do fostering, which you see Ms. Keller here with one of her fosters. I believe he's a family member now. We do have foster fails.
That's a giant.
He was always bigger
giant.
than her. He was found abandoned, as we find them often in the county, way out in Fabens, and so his name is Fabens, and he's adorable. So our officers are very unique because they also do adoptions, they do transports to our rescue groups, they will vaccinate in the field, they'll microchip, they manage our clinic. They're very extraordinary because they do everything a shelter does. So, but they do it from our trucks. We still do not, but we're working on it, have a shelter, so we use everything we have. So this developed out of necessity. So we've been able to cut our intake to the city shelter by 52%, which is incredible, because now we roll that money back into our clinic and offer our community free spay and neuters when they need it, and pretty much everybody needs it. Next slide, please. As you can see, the circumstances of overpopulation of animals arises out of no resources for our community to have low cost and no cost spay neuters available. And these animals, boy, we just cannot keep up with them because we'll never out adopt them or out transport them. One pup can have, say, a female can have 7, and then her offspring, they can have 7 more. And if you do the math, in general, after 6 years, that whole group can have 67,000 more canines. Cats, too. They just reproduce rapidly. And this is a common sight you'll see in the county where you'll have packs of dogs like that. So our officers do everything they can to, of course, get them back home, spay and neuter. It might not be somebody's pet, but boy, we offer it to anyone who knows that pet, wants to keep that pet, and we just want to help you stop the reproduction cycle. Next slide, please. So the metrics are very important, so you can see the progress we've made out in the field. And because we have such a large amount of animals, the increase out there in the field, we've had, unfortunately, 32% of our increase in bites. We've had 42% increase in calls for service because people do call when they see animals out. Just especially now, they're back in school. They see loose dogs around bus stops and stuff. That's very much a concern. And then bites. It's really forecasted now through the end of this fiscal year to have more bites, 312. So those are increasing too. One thing I want to point out, though, is that we have a huge increase of animals going into our animal services, our city shelter, our partner, our largest partner. And it's an immense number. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to do some quick comparisons of the progress that a low-cost and no-cost spay-neuter clinic can do. So our city shelter, run by El Paso, takes in approximately 27,000 animals a year. That's such a huge number. Austin in 2021, in comparison, took in 11,000. However, our populations are very different too. You see, we're much lower in population than Travis County, but animal services take in 145% more animals. And just to describe the difference, we know how to change it, and it's progressive animal strategies. And one of them is a low-cost, no-cost spay-neuter clinic like we're moving forward with. And just for reference, 2001, Austin Animal Center took in 21,000 animals. They also started Emancipet, which is a low-cost clinic, pet wellness clinic, and free for some. So, and you see their population of intake just dropped to 11,000. Not just, it's over time. So we will too focus on that and lower that stray population in the field. The solution to that is our clinic. Thank you so much. Here it is. We started it once a month and twice a month, offering this, and boy, did our community respond. They come, they wait, they're so thankful. And what a great way for a new department to meet our community by offering them resources, introducing ourselves, letting them know that we have resources for it. We're here to help. We're not just the dog catcher anymore. We're a part of your community. And we're going to be out there in your community, at your meetings, meeting you, bringing you resources, showing you what we can do for you. And any educational, we want to be there to help. So the solution, Pet Wellness Clinic, and we're so thankful that we get to start that. The problem is national veterinarian shortage. We do have a critical shortage of veterinarians, and it's a big challenge. However, what I've noticed when I was in the clinic, when I talked to everyone, we have doctors from Juarez, our sister city, that graduates from the university there, working as vet techs in our clinic. And I asked them why not become a veterinarian? And the challenge for them is the command of the English language and certainly the cost of these certification courses. And it's not that they don't want to be, and they have the skill set that we desperately need. And we're very thankful for our Congresswoman Escobar, who recognizes that too. She's a big advocate for spay-neuter, so she did pay a visit. So my recommendation was, why don't we support them and ask them to sign a contract of 3 years, come in, work as a vet tech with our doctor, spay-neuter, and on the 5th day, We study for these exams, we help you pass them, we'll teach you how to pass the certification, and you work for us for 3 years as a veterinarian. Now we've increased our spay-neuters. Now you've got even a more reach, and we're supporting our sister city, the university. It's a very unique opportunity. So I'm very excited. We had a great visit there. It was wonderful to meet everyone. There's many doctors there. The university has a clinic. We met the dean. It's a wonderful partnership, and I'm very excited to bring this forward for us. So the important thing here are the numbers, of course. How do we sustain this? In Austin, this has been a successful project program. They do eventually pay for themselves, the clinics. But what we need is, the first year is definitely the most costly because of all the equipment needed. But we will start, and this is low, we start with 20 a day surgeries at 100 apiece, and so we can bring in revenue. And eventually, in our second year, we will be able to start to cover the reoccurring operating cost also. And this will give us an opportunity to also do no cost, that we do that for our community members that our officers are working hand in hand with in the county. And we know when they need help, they come forward, they have, 24 chihuahuas instead of 2. It's the gift that keeps on giving. We work individually with them. So this is a big project. It will start to generate its own revenue, and we know it works, so we're very excited to show you this and move forward on it. Of course, the good news is when the federal grant drops in, all of this will be zero for us. But I can't tell you exactly when it's going to come in. Jose's going to speak on it a little later. He's got I think he has the next slide, and then Valeria from HR will talk to you about the HR costs completely.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners, Jose Landeros of County Administration. It's so remarkable to work with Lorelei and her team, just in terms of the energy that they bring to such an underserved portion where others might be overwhelmed and incredibly stressed. I think Lorelei approaches everything with a can-do attitude, and I mean that in the most sincere and inspiring way. That it's really just a pleasure to get the chance to work on this with her. And so the slide that Lorelei asked me to present this morning is just a summary of the FY 2023 community project submission that the county submitted to Congresswoman Escobar's office earlier this fiscal year. We submitted 15 projects. 3 county projects were selected, including this one, which would be the capital needs to make sure that we can retrofit the building that Public Works had secured a donation for, make some site improvements once that facility is permanently installed at a location, and also provide a lot of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, as well as some of that major medical equipment that you saw in that previous slide. And so this project coming in at 1.3 million would be transformative to make sure that a lot of the capital and operating costs that often present unique challenges to solve is addressed, and the county would now be in a position to work on the personnel and operating side, which I know it was what Valeria from HR is going to present next. So you can see here that the preliminary project budget shows the costs of those different scopes, those different work areas. At this point, this bill, the appropriations bill for the federal government for fiscal year 2023, has passed through the House. It still needs to pass through the Senate and then ultimately be signed into law by the President. To give you some perspective on timing, we really don't know when we should be able to tap into these funds, but the FY22 bill, even though the fiscal year starts in October, was passed in March of 2022. And the funds from those projects that we received, including some funds for the Sheriff's Office and the Planning and Development Department, those funds are actually still trickling their way down through the granting agencies and should be available sometime this fall. So there's about a 6 to 9 month delay once the budget is actually passed before the funding can start to make its way into the county. We're optimistic that Congress would be able to pass this bill in the next few months. However, we might be on a similar timeline as we were in fiscal year 22, that we might not start to see this funding until a year from now. And then we would work on implementing and executing all of the grant agreements and actually start to implement the project at that time. But all indications are that, it's a process that I think was streamlined in the previous fiscal year and the previous appropriations bill process. And I think more members of Congress participated in the CPF this time around, which is a good indication that the projects that were selected by individual members of Congress, have been vetted, have been screened, have been deemed to be eligible and generally good investments for the federal government to make in local communities. So we do remain very optimistic that this project has a very high chance of being funded moving forward. And we remain in close contact in close communication with the Congresswoman's staff in case anything should change, in case any more information is necessary. But at this point, we just remain in a holding pattern, but a very optimistic one at that. So I'm happy to take any questions about this. And if there are no questions, I would turn the presentation over to Valeria with Human Resources.
Hi, good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Valeria Fernandez, HR Manager, Human Resources for the record. HR has worked closely with Lorelei in the research of the appropriate titles and pay for the 4 new positions approved for the Animal Welfare Department. As you can see, the titles and grades are displayed. Further, HR is prepared to assist in the process of relocation and certification reimbursements, agreements if they are needed. For these reimbursements, candidates would be required to sign an agreement to continue employment with the county if provided with funding for the certifications or relocation for 3 years. Finally, depending on the candidates for these veterinary residents, if visas are required, those potential expenses are listed on the slide. And if there's no questions, I'll turn it back over to Lorelei.
That concludes our presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions you may have. I do know we have a couple public speakers here, one of them from the ASPCA Humane Alliance, who are prolific in spay-neuter clinics, and they are coming in as a partner to help us set up our clinic as in a triage manner so we can be as efficient as possible.
I'd love to hear from Ms. Hess. Sarah, we're ready.
Can you hear me?
We sure can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, for inviting me, and Director Combs. My name is Sarah Hess. I'm the Director of Programs for the ASPCA Spay-Neuter Alliance. We are a high-volume spay-neuter clinic located in Asheville, North Carolina. But we are also a training facility, kind of a teaching hospital, if you will, where we train veterinary externs, so 4th-year veterinary students. And then we also have a mentorship program where we have assisted over 185 organizations all around the United States to open and efficiently operate a high-volume spay-neuter clinic. So we are in a unique position to provide some assistance to Director Combs with this project. We support you all in first of all, in the idea of having an affordable spay-neuter clinic, an affordable wellness clinic for the people and the pets of your community. That's important. But with the current veterinary shortage across the United States, this idea that Director Combs has layered on to partner with the veterinary school in Juarez and to work with Mexican veterinary graduates, to get the extra training to pass the U.S. exams and then work in the county is really smart, and it's quite key to the success of this project, because you can open a high-volume spay-neuter clinic or an affordable wellness clinic right now, but finding the veterinary staff is a challenge all across the country. So we are supportive of this idea, and I will be coming to El Paso as well as our senior medical director. We're looking for some time in September to come down, take a look at the building, offer some suggestions for efficient floor plans, work on equipment lists, and then also work with Dr. Medina on how to perform the 20 surgeries a day and also be able to properly train those veterinary students, because that's what we do here in Asheville. So we have a unique skill set and are looking forward to helping.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad you're commenting on something as important that we're dealing with, the clinic and everything that comes with that, but not addressing the shortage would not make sense, right? Because how can you have one and not be able to have the staffing that's necessary? So I really appreciate that you're looking at that, because I guess most industries are struggling with that, and I think at least you've become extremely creative about, how do we address such an important part of the decision that we would make. So thank you very much, Ms. Ness.
Judge, we also have Mr. Eric Boehm from the El Paso Veterinary Medical Association.
Oh, excellent. Oh, he's present. I was looking for you on the screen here, so thank you.
Good morning. My name is
morning.
Eric Boehm. I'm the executive director for the El Paso Veterinary Medical Association. So we're the nonprofit association that represents all the veterinarians in El Paso County. Just quickly, I wanted to put my association and my members 100% support behind Lorelei's plans.
Excellent.
We've been working to reiterate the veterinary shortage. We have about 25 open veterinary positions in El Paso at the moment across all the clinics, animal services, and the county. So anything we can do to alleviate that, including this plan to support the Juarez graduates, is great. So that's it.
Well, thank you for your support. We appreciate that, and your time to come here. Thank you.
Judge and Commissioners,
Welcome,
Joel
Joel.
Bishop with County Administration. I would be remiss if I didn't share just my experience with the clinic and my thoughts on this, and my support. I've had the privilege of working side by side, even on an animal rescue, with some of the very professional officers at our animal welfare clinic, and it's amazing to see the professionalism and level of service that they're getting. That's provided to our community in the Out County. I live in the Out County, and to see how responsive they are in those areas is amazing. And I've also taken advantage of the services of the clinic and seen what they do and the cost, and I know it's going to be a big deal. In fact, just what made me want to talk to you is just this morning I had an emergency with my own dog. It's in surgery right now, and I know that's going to cost me probably $1,500. And I know in the Out County, thankfully, I'm in a position where I can afford that, but many of our residents couldn't. And I know that if I were in a position where I couldn't afford it, I would be very tempted just to try to take care of the dog myself, and it would probably have died. And it may still, but a life-saving surgery like that, and to be able to offer lower cost services to our residents is really, I mean, it's going to be a real blessing to a lot of people. And so I love the vision and direction that it's going. Very impressed with our staff and services. So I just wanted
Thank
to
you,
share
Joel.
that.
And it fits into our county, our philosophy is that accessibility, that no one should have to make a decision based on lack of money, whether it's from a bond and not being able to leave being incarcerated because you don't have the money, or that you have to make that decision because you don't have money. It's the same concept that we've been fighting, that especially in the rural areas, that they should have the same accessibility and opportunities of anybody in any part of El Paso. So this is one of those accessibility focus that we need to address. Thank you, Joel.
Judge, if
Yes.
I may, I also want to thank you all because, a couple things. One, building off of what Joel said about and you, Judge, with accessibility, it's known now, I think 80% of households have a dog or a pet, correct? And times have changed. I mean, I grew up with animals, and they served a different part of our lives, but now animals are part of our family more than ever. And so I can't imagine having to make that kind of decision about a family member if I didn't have these types of services available and I was not able to provide them myself. I also want to mention that the court has done a lot of things to help us get here. Several years back, you created the Animal Welfare Department separately from being a unit of law enforcement, which is a little bit different approach or mindset. And I really appreciate Sheriff Wiles being supportive, and he has been so helpful through that transition. He has told, like, every time we have a crisis, I'm like, Sheriff, we're having this problem in the transition. He always says, whatever I can do for you all to make this transition smooth, to help you all through this. Sometimes we need to house an animal somewhere at a substation, or he's been very helpful and supportive. I also want to mention, as we've looked through this idea on the veterinarians, Commissioner Holguin helped connect us to some immigration resources. Just making us aware of things that are available, buildings, letting us submit this as a community project. That support, and this is something in our strategic plan for this coming year, all of that's helping make that a reality. And so thank you all so much, and I can't echo Joel's comments enough about our animal welfare team. I think almost every one of them has been to my house bringing me a foster or helping me with some issue, or as I've taken them to the clinic. But we have an amazing team here. I'm so proud of them. And again, thank you for your support, and to Sheriff Wiles for his support.
Thank you, Betsy. Commissioner Holguin, please.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, everyone. I was wondering if Lorelei could give us an update on the donated building for the clinic. I know that moving it, relocating it was such a huge project just because of the sheer size of it. So I'm just wondering, were we able to do that successfully? Is it in its final location? The condition of it? Maybe if you could just give us an update on that, please.
Yes, certainly. Thank you for that question. It has been moved. I want to thank Fernie Hernandez, of course, and Norma for this enormous move. It's over 8,000 square feet, so it had to be moved in 11 pieces. And we'll apologize to anyone who was stuck behind us as we move this, because it was slow and low, but it is in its position now. It's kind of below Horizon and below Sparks off of Highway 10, and it's huge. It's a large mobile home that doesn't look much to most people, but to me, it's beautiful. We walked in, it has all the rooms. It was formerly a clinic, so it is set up for a clinic. It was a VA clinic, and I do want to thank, as Betsy did also, our Sheriff Wiles for sending us a letter of support, the El Paso Community Foundation for sending us a letter of support, and of course the El Paso Veterinarian Medical Association for sending us a letter of support, and for our city partner, actually, the City Animal Services. They actually have let us use their building for the last, since August of 2020, when I found Dr. Medina in a parking lot at Walmart and knocked on his door at his clinic and said, would you please help us? No one's answering me. Yes, it's a pandemic, but we have hundreds of animals and our community needs help. And so I do want to thank all of those and everyone else that has been so supportive, our rescue group. So we're going to stabilize it and invite you all out. You're welcome to see it. It's a little hard to get up the stairs right now. It's wobbly, but we have big plans for it. I'm very excited that the ASPCA and Sarah Hess and her doctors will come out and help us. They're also going to help us with the medical equipment because that's been very difficult to get because of COVID. But like Jose stated, from what I understand and from what I've heard from Irene, who's pretty much an expert in federal grants, once your money hits, you've got a year to spend it. So boy, we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready. And I'm looking very excited and to open this and serve our community in this manner. I must thank you all, commissioners, Judge, Ms. Keller, and everyone who's helped us. You're definitely making a difference, and you're a unique, valued part of our community because you actually recognize what the community needs, and you give that to them. And that's so unique. In my 24 years, I've never seen Commission's Court do something for the pets and the good people of El Paso and our borderland. You will start to reduce the animals that are strays, that are injured, that are starving. You will help our community in such a big manner. This has so many great layers to it. Partnering with our sister university in Juarez, once you meet these vets, you just know you're doing the right thing. So thank you.
No, thank you. What a display of collaboration, my goodness, from every angle. Commissioner Stout?
Good morning. Thank you all very much for the presentation and great work. I'm excited about what's to come for this department, and I'm very happy that you know, we're doing the partnership with folks in Juarez. I know we've talked a lot about that in the medical field, and it's great that we can actually do it in the animal medical field. But I had a question. Are the services that will be provided, are they open to any county resident, or are there restrictions on who can access the services?
This clinic is open to everyone. It's a borderland project. Of course, the no cost will be focused on our county residents, the cities that we cover, and that's where our officers are. So those will be the no cost for now. But the low cost, our clinic is welcoming everyone, and they will come from all over as they do now, New Mexico, and other counties, from the city, and we're just gonna, if you can make an appointment, you can afford the fee, we're gonna help you.
And do you know if the city provides any type of similar service for folks that live within the city limits that may not be able to afford it?
Yeah, they do not. They're struggling to find a veterinarian. They have 3, I believe, open positions right now. And it is a struggle. And it does affect the animals that are in there. You know, they run at capacity. They're always over capacity because they want to save as many as possible. But yet, when you don't have a veterinarian, you're not spaying and neutering these pets that are still out in the community and still reproducing. So it's a national crisis, and we hope to help everyone that we can as fast as we can.
I appreciate that, and I don't know if it's a possibility to look into the future, but it's something that I speak about a lot when it comes to the fact that 90% of the population is in the county is within the city limits, and they may not have access to services. You know, if the county is providing services, it should be for all county residents, because that 90% of the population is subsidizing only 10 or 20% of the population's services. So I think that if it's possible in the future to look at how we can expand all of the services that you guys are providing, because it's a great service, and obviously my constituents, I think, could probably benefit from it as well, and all of my constituents are within the city limits, and so you know, that's why I bring this up. But I really appreciate all the hard work y'all are doing, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing that 27,000 number drop drastically in the next number of years.
Absolutely. It's a very difficult task to deal with that many animals coming into your shelter. And Animal Services has, for the city, they have great programs in place, but the immense a number of animals coming in would just overwhelm any shelter. It certainly did for us in Austin when we took in 21,000. You know, it's just, it's chaos, and so for us to try and reduce, and we will gradually reduce the population, and it reduces the intake to your city shelter. I hope by the time we break ground and, our shelter gets approved over with Sheriff Wiles and the jail annex and the inmates cleaning the back of the house, learning a transferable skill that they can take out in the community, that the numbers are lower. So we're setting ourselves up for success. And our officers already know how to run a shelter because they've been learning every element of a shelter within their trucks. The adoption counselor, the foster coordinator, the transporter, the vet tech, managing a clinic. Our officers do all that. And in our community, in the borderland, our animals don't know borders. A female could have a litter of, 8 pups, and they're over in the county as soon as they can get over there. They're walking, they go where a food source is, or a nice shady bush. So they go across borders all the time. So you're right, we should be helping everyone. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big problem within the city limits. When I was out on the campaign trail most recently, the 2 biggest items on people's lists were taxes and streets, but I think a very close third or fourth was the number of feral cats that are wandering around and just doing their business in people's yards, and I ran into a lot of my constituents that are dealing with those issues, and unfortunately the city is not able to take care of it.
Right. The beautiful thing about feral cats is once you spay and neuter them, vaccinate them against rabies, and they have their little gang, they don't let others in. They really protect their neighborhood, and you can lower the population. They'll start to, live their lives, and it will get smaller and smaller. They'll keep the snakes and the mice out, but we need to go into every area and spay and neuter. In fact, as we get solid in what we're doing, and we have more vets, we can actually focus on cats and medium and large sized dogs. And the reason we would love to focus on that and just do that at no fee, because those are the animals that are being euthanized the most across the nation, certainly here in our lower states, in our shelters. So if we can eliminate those and really drop that population down, we are serving the community health and safety issues too. So it's a big picture, I know, and I just, again, can't thank you enough for considering and moving forward on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One last thank you too is to Norma Rivera Palacios. She has taken this project with such passion herself. Every time also we ask her for something like, I need a shady place to keep some animals, they exceed our expectations. Norma, working with Fernie, but I wanted to also publicly recognize her.
Thank you, Betsy, for that.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Item number 5, receive a presentation from the Community Services Department regarding a department overview and updates.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Wow, so difficult to come after that. For the record, I'm a proud parent of a dog adopted from our own Animal Services Department 2 years ago. Thanks to Laura Lay's advocacy, she texted with a picture and she said, would your kids like this dog? I said, yes, what do I need to do? In an hour, that pet showed up in my house.
No delay.
Her wonderful officer showed up with a nice kennel, a brand new collar and medicine, and he's been our beloved family member since then.
She was actually outside when she took
Right, I didn't think of that. Maybe she was stalking my house. But anyhow, he's been a wonderful member of our family since, and I can attest to the wonderful work that the department does. So congratulations, Laura. Okay, So for the record, good morning, Irene Valenzuela, Community Services Department. It's my great pleasure to be here today to present our overview for this fiscal year for our department's work. I wanted to first start off with a quick snapshot of our department makeup, as well as a quick operational overview. I'll be providing more detail about each division and what we've done this year later in the presentation, but I wanted to show you in brief. The department is comprised of 6 divisions with programs. We have 40 active staff right now. We do have some open vacancies that we're recruiting for. Thanks to your support this fiscal year, where we were able to grow our staff and our programs. This year, the team is administering and has direct oversight of 19 grants valued at $13.5 million, 28 non-grant contracts, for a total of 45 agreements and contracts on behalf of the County of El Paso right now. Your general fund investment to the department is $3.7 million, for a total grant and operational budget and oversight of $18 million. I wanted to take special note of that figure, which is why I wanted to present this snapshot. For every dollar that you've invested in this department, in the programs that our team provides, we were able to leverage approximately $3.64 in additional grant funds for this community. So I'm very proud of that return on investment for our community. It also reflects the hard work and dedication of my team that I'm so proud of, because they are hardworking, identifying and soliciting grant funds for this community and for the services that we provide. Our Department Operations and Contract Compliance section that's charged with monitoring this and putting this wonderful presentation together is led by Carlos Marquez from my team. Our senior noontime meal program is one of your oldest and long-standing safety net programs in the county. It's in existence for over 40 years already. You've been supportive of that program for that long, and this county has benefited from the services of this program. It is led by Rosalba Hernandez this year. Our enrollment increased by 15%. To date, we've provided 400,000 meals, and we're on track to serve almost 600,000 meals by the end of this fiscal year. We have over 1,700 recipients of our home-delivered meals, while our congregate center meal recipients are just over 1,100. The congregate center meal comprises of 17 centers in the city and in our county centers as well. Our team has been diligently to keep meals waste to a minimum and are proud that we maintain a less than 10% waste metric. This is an important metric that we measure, as it saves the county money, it saves our grant funder money, and it's a good way to maintain sustainability of our program. Some of the other tidbits that are not illustrated in this slide are a few other services that were coordinated by our senior nutrition team. This year, in partnership with UMC and the Tornillo Independent School District, we hosted several COVID-19 vaccine drives at all our county centers, Pabens, Canutillo, Tornillo, and Montana, I beg your pardon, Pabens, Canutillo, Montana Vista, and in the Tornillo High School. Out of those clinics, we managed to facilitate the vaccination of over 696 county residents with first, second, and booster doses. And we also, in partnership with a local nonprofit in our community, hosted a diaper and baby wipe drive for our community in Fabens, as well as holding health and wellness fairs in all of your county centers. And in May of this year, we were able to add 2 more weekly meals to our homebound meal recipients. They can now enjoy a noontime meal every day of the week. Prior to that, and for several years, we had only been providing meals, 1 meal per day for 5 days a week, but now they can enjoy a Saturday and Sunday meal as well. Our general assistance program is also led by Rosalba. They were very busy, as noted in this slide this year. With your county investment and small grants from the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, the team facilitated rental, mortgage, utility, and indigent burial services to almost 2,000 households, providing over $800,000 in financial support. We also received and closed 25 constituent referrals from your respective offices. Each of those 25 households that you referred to as either received direct assistance from our in-house programs or we referred and we ensured that they received assistance from other agencies and programs in our community. Additionally to that, the General Assistance Team administered the U.S. Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Phase 1 project alongside our contracted partner, the Paso del Norte Community Foundation. This phase of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program assisted over 800 households in both city and the county with $2.5 million in rent payments. Using those same ERA 1 funds for utility assistance, our in-house GA team provided almost $70,000 in utility payments to 219 households in the out-county areas. This is in addition to the other utility assistance that were provided that you saw in the previous slide. That was your county investment. This is with the Treasury Fund investment. And as you know, we are now in the second phase of the Emergency Rental Assistance funded project, overseeing more than $2 million in rent and utility, along with our partners, the United Way of El Paso County and Ayuda, Inc. With a $1 million grant from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, along with your investment to our program of $150,000, the community development team is led by Diana Marroquin, administers the Colonia Self-Help Center grant program, and operates the Agua Dulce Resource Center out in the Agua Dulce Colonia. From this center, as you can see, and with a combined grant and general fund investment from your budget, this year we facilitated the tool checkout for 194 families. 67 households accessed our computer and technology lab available to them, and 114 households have taken advantage of our solid waste campaign, where we collected over 176,000 pounds of household trash thus far. Other events hosted and facilitated by the team at Agua Dulce are community health fairs, a presentation by UTEP on the stigma of mental health in underserved populations, and our very own colleagues at the Domestic Relations Office provided a presentation to our families in Agua Dulce about the importance of drafting living wills. They actually also helped them draft living wills. 17 of our families took advantage of that program. With volunteers from our Agua Dulce community, the center now has also a community closet where our families in need can access and can help themselves with gently used clothes for free. And Agua Dulce also hosted vaccine drives during this year, and we're also an early voting location for primary elections. And additionally, we partner with our very own Parks and Recs department for movies at the park, as well as for other community meetings that Veronica and her team needed to have in that community. In addition to those programs at the center through the grant, we also facilitated the purchase and placement of new mobile homes for 5 families in need in our community. We replaced their dilapidated mobile home with a new one. This effort also included, as you can see from the pictures, the disposition and the demolition of their home, the replacement of their septic tanks who were substandard, replacement of all their residential utility connections such as water, gas, and electric. And we are currently in a bidding phase to rehabilitate 2 homes for 2 deserving families in our neighborhood. Our reentry support services team is led by B. Fierro. They provide care management services and resource services to justice-involved individuals exiting our county jail in support of their reintegration back into the community. This program has been supported by you for a few years, and it's done wonders to our community, and it has helped us enhance a lot of partnerships to connect our justice-involved individuals. This is a population that is often forgotten and written off in our community, and the efforts of this team has been nothing short of fantastic. They have done this using a three-phase approach. From pre-release, in-house, in-jail programming in partnership with our Sheriff's Department. We provide programming inside the jail before they're released. Then we have a team that helps with a transition plan. We develop a care plan for them before they're released into the county jail, and then connect them to a post-release community coordinating team, who then connects them into the community with all the resources in accordance to their plan and the goals that we have set for them. This year, the team received over 1,200 referrals, providing over 7,000 case management hours to justice-involved individuals. We made over 1,800 resource connections to justice-involved individuals. The team is on track to have over 1,400 case referrals by the end of this fiscal year. Some other notable accomplishments from the team this year was the coordination of the safe and direct release of justice-involved individuals from our county jail to our welcome center and our Inspira overflow homeless shelter during the pandemic. This was coordinated by our team with the partnership of our Sheriff's Department in order to assist homeless justice-involved individuals transition from the jail as they were released into an emergency shelter situation where mitigating COVID, where then they were provided resources and found interventions for housing and other sources. So that's one of the notable accomplishments that we did this year. Reentry also expanded its in-jail programming. We added another cell block, again with a partnership with the Sheriff's Department, and this cell block is specific to veterans only, providing specialized programming inside the jail, very specific to the needs of our veteran population that is in our county jail before they release. And we also established more partnerships in our community, engaging the Isleta Independent School District for GED classes in the jail. We partnered with Workforce Board of Flex Solutions for some workforce development services and other partnerships with them. We engaged the Rescue Mission to provide guaranteed emergency shelter beds for our homeless justice-involved individuals that were exiting the county jail. As the overflow shelter was closed, we needed an intervention for emergency shelter for our homeless justice-involved individuals exiting our jail, and the Rescue Mission partnered with us to provide just that. We also formalized referral partnerships with other substance use treatment providers in our community to provide that needed resource to our clients. The Office of New Americans is led by one person, Lori Gonzalez Flores. This year, they established themselves as your liaison with our community's migrant and immigrant service providers. Lori also this year embarked on promoting inclusion and educating our community on civic engagement and the importance of naturalization and U.S. citizenship. She visited several schools, several organizations, and promoted that effort on your behalf. She conducted 51 outreach activities, reaching over 2,700 people, referred almost 200 people to legal and other service providers in our community. And she also served in the forefront of our department's internship program, securing 4 UTIP interns for several months to help with outreach, with education, and refugee hospitality in our community. This year, the Office of New Americans also solicited grant funds from the Emergency Food and Shelter Program humanitarian aid to reimburse our humanitarian transportation costs that you supported this year. Lori also established naturalization naturalization education information corners at all our county centers, providing information and education on naturalization in our community, making that accessible in our county centers. She is also coordinating with some of your staff. You all may have already heard. She is working with USCIS to host a small naturalization ceremony here in the Alicia Chacon Courtroom next month as part of National Welcoming Week. And also in September, Lori is putting together a first annual naturalization fair with provider booths and information on U.S. citizenship, civic engagement, education, and resources available for that purpose in our community. And lastly, this fiscal year, Lori also kicked off the planning phase of I Speak 915, funded by your ARPA funds. This is a language access program that will facilitate county services to all our citizens coming in to receive county services here and in our annexes in the language of their choice. And last but not least, The newest service in the portfolio is a digital library system. This year, your vision to establish a county library system for our community was realized. We hired our first digital services librarian, Moreno. She quickly hit the ground running, soliciting feedback and input from our citizens on what content their library should have. We received over 500 survey responses with a wide range of interests, as you can see, from the genre of books they were interested in reading to what types of magazines and streaming services that they would want to see in their digital library, and whether they would visit an in-person branch for programming events. With this feedback, it helped shape the content that the library will soon offer. Working with purchasing and different vendors, we've already purchased our e-book content system, as well as our enterprise system, which will manage the checkouts and the membership of our patrons. We've purchased a video streaming service, language learning software, and online tutoring services as well. Our librarian also designed and held our library's first ever family-friendly programming event that kicked off in June, right after kids got out of school, and finished off in July, offering arts and crafts at the Agua Dulce Center, reading time. They all received a sneak peek of what the digital services content in our library will look like, and we held movie matinees on Wednesdays with popcorn for families in our community. More than 75 children from the surrounding area and their parents participated in our first ever summer programming at our library. We also hosted the Carol T. Welch Elementary School principal for a Meet the Principal event at the library, where 100 parents and their children attended to meet their new principal. But we took advantage, and we also had them sit in and learn about their soon-to-be services of their soon-to-be library. While we've done a little bit of work on this library, we still have some policy considerations that we will be bringing to you next month before the official launch to our community. So there's still membership policies that we want to bring for you or consideration to look at, as well as talk to you and provide you information about our plan to reach library accreditation and the benefits of having our library accredited through the state of Texas. Also, before I close, I wanted to show you the production of our department's video. Many thanks to Dr. Gallegos for doing the great voiceover. She has a wonderful voice in the video. And also wonderful thanks to our AV team of Miguel and Alexis for putting this video together. They did a wonderful job, and they always hit it out of the park with these productions, so I'm very proud of that.
Stand by, please. While they bring that up, I'm open to any questions that you all may have or any comments.
Well, it'll give us an opportunity to thank you. I'd like to ask Joel, he's got so many touch points with these programs, if you have any additional comments, Joel?
Oh, thank you, Judge. Joel Bishop with County Administration. Yeah, one of the areas, of course, that I like to focus on is reentry because that's one of the passions. I've worked a lot with them. It's amazing as you saw the work that has been done there and the collaboration and the progress that has been made. We are in progress working with the ARPA funds to potentially build a new reentry facility. We're in the programming phases and of that, and one of the challenges has been to make sure we don't duplicate what nonprofits are already doing. And one of the things that was amazing to me as I was touring around the nonprofits and trying to see what they're really doing, and as I was at one of the locations, I saw reentry clients being intaked already there in a residential program at Punto de Partida, and it was just amazing to see the collaboration that was going on and their willingness to work with us in taking in reentry and the way that our department has reached out and made all of these connections. So as Irene pointed out, there's been a number of agencies taking in residential people reentry. This is unprecedented in El Paso before the last couple of years, giving them a place to transition rather than having them historically just walk out of the jail to the opportunity center. So not only is this helping the clients find a better place to stay with a better plan, but it also helps the opportunity center not to bear the full brunt and burden of people coming out of the jail without a good plan for transition back into the community. So they have a much better transition plan. It helps the homeless shelters in that way. And I think the county has done a great job with that vision starting 5 years ago and really focusing even our homelessness efforts on those coming out of our own jail, which was really, we were finding the jail was our largest homeless shelter. And then you have the Opportunity Center that was bearing a big load, and to be able to see the enhancement and coordination that has happened starting within the jail and then post-release from the jail is huge. And then we have a partnership with UTEP, Dr. Allerid, who happened to be, Jacob Miles and I went there and did a presentation on all of our programs to their criminal justice department at UTEP. And that's when we found out that Dr. Allerid was an expert in reentry services and the reentry programming, and she was, Beatriz Fierro, worked out a partnership with UTEP. We got a grant, and they're measuring outcomes from the reentry programming that's happening now through that grant. So we're going to be able to get some very highly technical outcomes on recidivism and the way that it is or is not helping our community. But I think we're going to find it has a big impact because I have seen this measured in other states with more sophisticated and mature reentry programs. And you always see a significant reduction in recidivism when you have this coordinated type of work. So it's very exciting to see that program in particular. Judge.
Well, thank you, Joel.
Judge, we're ready.
Commissioner Leon, we'll take the questions and comments, and then we'll see the video next. So.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Irene, thank you very much for the presentation. And I've got to say, as I've said it before, that I have made some referrals to your office. And what I like is that we don't, especially there from within the city, you all don't just say, well, this is the number you call the city and we'll see you later. You stay with them, make sure that they're helped and or that they're steered in the right direction, not just sent out for a number to call. And I've got to say that I was out last week over at your Montana Vista place having lunch with the seniors, and Rosalba is doing a bang-up job because that's not her only responsibility. She really does a lot of things around working with all these centers. And they showed me around the place, the lab, computer lab that you have there. So, my compliments to you and your staff for doing such a great job with those people. And I could tell, matter of fact, I had lunch there, and that food was good. It's not only nutritious, it tasted good. And I could see by the reaction of the seniors there and your staff that they were really glad to be in the company of each other. And not only do we feed some seniors, I think they need the social interaction on a daily and a weekly basis. That goes a long way. So great job, Irene. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Commissioner. I wanted to, this week I had two situations where one was a national survey on after-school programs and the huge gap, because we talk a lot about the fact that, childcare, and sometimes we don't realize that the scope has to open wider. And so there was a tremendous focus on that gap. And then yesterday, I belong to the state Children at Risk, and the same thing came up. So I thank you a lot for the library component of that, because what's happening, just like we've lost childcare, also children not having any place to go, sort of same phenomenon where they're going home by themselves. We have all these other, and no one helping them through the school and homework and all that. So the library component, I think, is going to be very exceptional. And everybody's right. Rosalba and her team got to meet her yesterday at the Conference on Aging by the COG, and the team was there, and we're very fortunate to have such a team, and all your team members. So I love the fact when you use the word outreach, because you guys truly outreach. You go out there and find the most vulnerable and help them out. So I'm very proud of this program. Betsy and Joel and everybody that supports this program. It's an amazing program that has highlighted what we're all about here at Commissioner's Court. I mean, it really emphasizes that the things that we want to see. So we thank you for that.
Thank you. The team is listening in, and so I know they're appreciative of those comments. And you really do have it in the Rosalba and the rest of the staff, all the managers that oversee these great programs. You have a great group of dedicated public servants. They know that we touch on and impact the most underprivileged families and households in our community, and they really do put forth that commitment to provide all the services that we can and go miles ahead to be able to do that. So I know they appreciate hearing that from you all. So thank you for that.
They really deserve that recognition. We have the video.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
The Community Services Department consists of 6 divisions: Office of New Americans, Community Development Self-Help Center, Nutrition Program, General Assistance, Reentry Support Services, and the county's new Digital Services Library.
The department is the local community's government response for safety net services. We provide public assistance from rent utility assistance to meals for elderly and disabled in our region, as well as services to the colonias in East County and Northwest County, and other services related to immigrants and migrants, and are just as involved in homeless population.
So the Office of New Americans is a new office with the County of El Paso. Back in 2018, 2019, when we did see a large increase of refugee arrivals here in our area, our goal is to create welcoming and inclusive communities for them. We want to reduce barriers. We want to promote inclusion. We want to help integrate them.
El Paso County's Office of New Americans is committed to improving the inclusion, integration, and overall quality of life for our county's immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers through enhanced collaboration with the community, educational institutions, nonprofits, and interfaith organizations. The Community Development Division oversees the operation of the Agua Dulce Community Center and implements the Colonia Self-Help Center grant-funded programs. The Colonia Self-Help Center program is funded through CDBG grant funds from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs and are specific to families residing within designated areas known as colonias, with a focus on safe and suitable housing.
We're one of 8 counties in the border region that receive this funding, and the County Commissioners Court also supports this with general operating funds and staffing, and they maintain the building where we have a resource center for the community to go and check out tools to do their own repair in their homes. They go and use a computer lab where they can job search. Their children can do after-school homework. And then we have staff there that can also connect them to resources because they are so remote. Oftentimes, we're the only resource for them to connect them to any sources that are available inside the city.
In an effort to expand services beyond these designated areas, the center has integrated library services within its Community Technology Center in coordination with the county's new digital library.
We're excited as that is soon to launch. Our new digital library system will be one of about 3, I think, in Texas that has an all digital content. If you think of a library and you go in and you see bookshelves and check out a book and go to the library circulation desk, this will be similar but without books. And so all our content will be in digital format. You can check out a book via any of your electronic devices, your phone, your tablet, in the comfort of your own home.
Residents can visit the Agua Dulce Center branch for in-person programming and assistance. The digital library is led by Digital Services Librarian Priscilla Moreno.
We've been, as the county, we've been serving home-delivered meals to seniors who are homebound or adults 18 years and older that have disabilities and cannot go to any of our 17 centers where we serve senior meals. And we carry out these activities to about 1,500. Right now we have about 1,500 home delivered meals that we deliver on a daily basis and about 1,200 congregate center meals that we deliver on a daily basis. There is absolutely a need. COVID, post-COVID, has shown the need for our homebound. There are many individuals, many seniors, and seniors is 60 plus, 60 years and older, that perhaps became ill during COVID and now are afraid to go to any of the centers and eat their meals like they used to go.
In addition to the county's almost 4-decade financial commitment to this program, other funding in support of this program comes from a variety of resources to include local, state, and federal sources. The General Assistance Program has been assisting the El Paso County community for over 40 years. Services include rent, mortgage, utility assistance, and indigent burials.
One of the biggest issues for our community was rental and utility need. And so with the various stimulus packages from the federal government, our department took on the role of administering a lot of that funding to disperse rental and utility assistance to our community so that they don't at least lose their home because they were either out of a job due to the pandemic, or they lost hours, or reduction of hours, or they couldn't work because they were sick. Any of those things, our team worked very hard to try to address that. We have distributed a total of about $6 million in rental assistance throughout our community.
Reentry Support Services supports the county's effort to lead justice reform by assisting individuals transition from incarceration back into the community.
Reentry was established in 2018 after the Commissioners Court commissioned a recidivism study that found that men and women in our county jail were coming in and out and recidivating because there was no support in our community. And so it was established to provide resources and support to justice-involved individuals that are released from the county jail so that they don't reoffend and commit crimes. And so one of the things that reentry does is connect justice-involved individuals coming out of our county jail with services such as mental health, substance use, workforce, employment, those kinds of things, so that they don't reoffend and they have those supports, and improves public safety and lowers the cost of our jails.
Reentry Support Services provides a post-release community reentry team to provide continuity of care through advocacy and support while removing barriers for a successful reentry through their care management services. The Community Services Department is in the Family Youth Services Center located at 6314 Delta Drive, proudly serving the El Paso community.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you to the AV team for putting that together. They did a wonderful job.
As always, they're where we need them all the time. Thank you. And Dr. Madrigal as well.
Judge, Commissioners, I know Joel may have something to wrap up on this too, but I so proud of Irene and her leadership and this team. It's really, I think it's a rare characteristic to find somebody who's really compassionate, but very smart, business-minded about it. And, well, maybe it's not rare, but it's special. And I think that's something that Irene brings to us. With all of these issues, she brings solutions that are something that are reasonable for the taxpayers, reasonable for the county. She really thinks through these programs, and we can just count on her for that approach. It's something I really appreciate and want to commend her for.
Thank you. Very well said and very well deserved. Thank you.
Couldn't agree more, Judge. It has just been a real pleasure working with Irene and her team, and just very, very proud of her. Just messaging Irene, telling her how proud I am of her and her team and all of the work they've done. They've carried a very heavy load, especially during COVID. They've had to adjust so fast to needs that arose. I think of like the COVID home delivery meals, things like that. Positive, thousands and thousands of home delivery meals, working with El Pasoans fighting hunger, and there's a lot more that they do that wasn't mentioned here. So I do want to echo Betsy's comments and just say how proud I am of Irene and her team. It's remarkable to see the work that they've done.
Thank you, Joel. Really appreciate that for our team. Commissioner Holguin?
Thank you, Judge. That was a fabulous, fabulous video that really, I think, lays out just all of the tremendous work that our Community Services Department does. But I'm wondering how we can get that video out so that others in the community know the services that are available. I think a lot of times that's the biggest problem that we have, is that just especially community members aren't aware of the incredible services that are offered by the county. So I'm just wondering, Irene, what is the plan with the video? How are we going to get it out so that people can see the tremendous work that you and your staff do?
Irene?
Thank you, Commissioner Holguin. So the video is fresh off the video
press.
production line, and so we do intend to post it on our website. The Family Youth Services Center has a large screen TV where we play it. Our annex buildings as well, our centers do as well, so we will continue to do that. We also have our social media platforms that we will be putting that video on, as well as presenting at all our any community meetings that we hold. We will be putting that video out. With Dr. Gallegos' help, I don't know if we could do some type of media release of that video as well, but I'm happy to show it off.
Well, we have Dr. Gallegos on, that came up. You want to add to that, Dr. Gallegos?
Yes, certainly, Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for having me, Dr. Laura Gallegos, Communications Manager. Irene had some great ideas. Yes, that is straight off the press. We really need to, we can come up with some more solutions, but I think Irene has a good idea of how to get started with getting the message out. And yes, we can start putting out video news releases if you like, and that's definitely something that we can start with on the communication side.
Thank you, Dr. Gallegos. And thank you for your support going through this.
I'm wondering if it's possible to reach out to the Sheriff's Department to see, I don't know if they have some kind of orientation for new officers or even current ones that are there, because a lot of the referrals that my office makes to you, Irene, when you get those late night text messages from me, those come from the sheriff's deputies normally, because they've just visited a home where they just see that there's families in tremendous need. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we could make sure the Sheriff's Department sees the video so that all of their deputies are aware of all of the services, because I think sometimes they reach out to me because they're not really sure who to ask, and then of course you're the first person that I turn to, but I'm wondering if there's something we could coordinate with our own Sheriff's Department just to make sure that they're all aware of everything that the department offers.
And I think the same holds true with the constables, because they're so tied into the community. That would be great for them to be able to get that video, and they'll share it with their constituents.
I think that's an excellent idea. Several years back, we would have like many orientation sessions, more so when the constables would request those. And it was kind of very old schoolish. We would sit in a conference room and pass out little flyers and brochures of our work and our services. And so the constables were always very receptive. We have COVID hit and we haven't done those, but I know, for example, Constable Ugarte is very connected to my team, and so he does reach out quite a bit to understand our programs and what's
That's
new out there.
excellent.
But I think it's an excellent idea to incorporate the Sheriff's Department
That's
in December.
excellent. Okay, well, we thank you. Two great presentations, and also our kudos go out also to, we keep hearing the sheriff in both presentations. The sheriff had a lot to do with helping out and supporting that. So thank Sheriff Wiles and the sheriffs, and of course the constables as well, and supporting these two. I don't know if there's any further comments. But now we thank you. And these, like I said, these special sessions on covering it and taking our time and really listening to them. So I appreciate your two presentations, Lori and Irene, and your teams, both teams. They might be listening. If not, let's convey to them. And they're always welcome. Yesterday I heard someone say, we always hear you thanking us and all that, but we'd like to hear it directly. So if you can ever bring them in, they appreciate the commissioners and how they get recognized. So anytime there's a topic on the agenda, bring some of your team. We'd love to see them here. So, well, thank you.
This completes all the items on the agenda, Judge.
Well, thank you. So, wish everyone a great weekend as we headed to the weekend, our legal team and all our county support, and we keep hearing about our production team that's always available, and of course always thank you Dario and Tamara for our sign language translators. So thank you all for being here today.
This concludes today's meeting at 10:30 a.m.